Please welcome the chairman of the Greater Oklahoma City Chamber and CEO of Bank First, David Rainbow.
Thank you. Thank you. Good morning. Thank you for being here, and welcome to the 16th annual State of the City. At our annual meeting last month, I talked to you about the importance of partnerships and how critical they are to this organization's success. We all know that the partnership we share with the City of Oklahoma City is maybe first amongst equals in that, and by working together, we've created one of the nation's fastest growing economies and a much more exciting place to live as well. While we should, and it's right, to celebrate our successes, we certainly can't let celebration give rise to entitlement. As Okies, we know our success will only continue if we continue to work hard and work together. Your chamber partners with the City of Oklahoma City in some of our most important work, specifically three primary areas: economic development, convention and visitor attraction, and retail development. With city funding, we leverage your private dues dollars into investment in jobs. We try to increase the tax base here and pursue a greater quality of life in our community. In 2014, chamber-assisted companies announced around 6,500 new jobs in this region at an average wage of almost $60,000. These same companies plan to invest over $500 million in the expansions that they announced. These new jobs are key to continued growth in our per capita income, which is the name of the game in terms of retail development. Income growth is critical to another goal, and it's one of our primary goals, and that's continued development of retail. In Oklahoma, sales tax is the most significant funding available to municipal governments. You've probably read that Oklahoma City's sales tax revenues remain strong. National retailers such as Von Maur, Cabela's, Topgolf all made announcements this past year of either moving here or making an investment in the market. Oklahoma City is also gaining notoriety as a visitor destination. As a division of your chamber, the Convention and Visitors Bureau is aggressively promoting the city, and we've had excellent results there as well. National Geographic named our city one of the 20 cities in the world that you must visit in 2015. That's right. We have recently been featured in United, American, and Southwest in their in-flight magazines, and we're in the process right now of creating a new ad campaign to promote our new convention center to the meeting planners around the country. Hospitality has grown significantly. Oklahoma County leads the state, which is no surprise, in our travel expenditure intake, bringing in more than $2 billion per year. Many businesses rely on this tourist economy. These visitors, as you know, generate tax dollars. They dine in our restaurants, shop in our stores, stay in the hotels, and just like any other industry, this is a priority for us and we need to grow it. The investment the city is preparing to make in the new MAPS 3 Convention Center will only amplify this opportunity. This new facility will bring visitors to this region by the thousands, and you multiply those visitors by room nights, hospitality expenditures while they're here, and you can begin to see that the velocity of the return on the convention center investment will be dramatic. I think you understand that this partnership we have with City Hall is not only strong, but vital to our continued growth. As beneficiaries of their efforts, we should always thank, but right now I'd like to particularly thank the mayor, the city council, city staff. We appreciate the dedication and professionalism of our city government, and we are proud and grateful for what you do. So right now I'd like every one of us to stop and give a round of applause to our city government. I'd also like to recognize our signature sponsor for today's event, the Oklahoma City Thunder. Let's give them a round of applause as well. Throughout lunch, you'll see the names of other sponsors on the screens. Please take notice. Those people are very important to the chamber. Also during lunch, you'll notice on your table a red envelope. Inside the envelope is a petition that expresses support for the construction of the 499 Sheridan Complex. This will bring millions of dollars of infrastructure investment and ultimately the development of the first commercial multi-tenant building in downtown since the 80s, the first new construction of a multi-tenant commercial building. Your chamber believes a strong economy is the best way to preserve our city. If you feel the same way, we would ask that you sign the petition and be sure and leave it on the table. When we reconvene shortly, we'll hear Mick Cornett's State of the City. Please enjoy your lunch.
Please welcome once again the chairman of the Greater Oklahoma City Chamber and CEO of Bank First, David Rainbow.
I like that, a post-luncheon round of applause. I'm not used to that at the office, that's for sure. I hope you enjoyed your lunch. At this time, I'd like to recognize all the elected officials in the room, and I'd like to ask them to stand so that we can show our appreciation for you attending today's event. So would all elected officials please stand? The world has taken notice of Oklahoma City's remarkable renaissance and our popular mayor. The son of a postal worker and school teacher, Mick Cornett was born and raised here in Oklahoma City. From an early age, his parents taught him the value of public service, encouraged him to keep the faith, work hard, dream big. Today, Mick Cornett, who by the way is the first four-term mayor in our history, is leading a thriving community that reflects the same principles. He has been honored by various organizations and publications as the top mayor in the state and in the nation, and an international panel has selected Mayor Cornett as one of the best mayors in the world. Yeah. Newsweek magazine has called him one of the 5 most innovative mayors in the United States. Yes. Recently elected to a leadership position in the U.S. Conference of Mayors, he is in line to be president of that organization in 2016. During his time in office, Oklahoma City has invested nearly $2 billion in school and quality of life infrastructure through the MAPS programs. That investment, in turn, has generated nearly $6 billion in private sector investment. Today, Oklahoma City's economy, as we know, is one of the nation's most robust. He earned a degree in journalism at the University of Oklahoma and an MBA from New York University. Please welcome the best mayor in the country, Mick Cornett.
Oh, big crowd today, 1,465. That's a record. Give yourself a round of applause for that. What a city, what a crowd. And I still have a lump in my throat when I say it. 2015. It still sounds so futuristic to me, like I should have arrived today on a hoverboard or a jetpack and arrived from the rooftop. So let's figure out where we are in 2015. Where is Oklahoma City as we begin this new year? Well, we're doing pretty well. Even without jetpacks, if you judge a city by the quality of life for its citizens, we've come a long way. We have more high-paying jobs than ever before. And if you're into having fun, and I hope you are, there is more to do after work than ever before. And thanks to all of our efforts across the city, our neighborhoods are getting stronger. And of course, you have seen the construction, the lifeblood of a community, more hotels and restaurants to be sure. But we also are building more churches, more parks, and more schools. We have a lot to talk about today. But before we do, there are a few thank yous that need to go out so we can thank the people that have played significant roles in our city's ascension. I want to thank, first of all, the Oklahoma City Thunder for being the signature sponsor of our event today. Let's show a round of applause for the Thunder. And our host sponsor is Bank of Oklahoma, so thank you both. Again, a round of applause for Bank of Oklahoma. This is a Chamber of Commerce event, and would everyone who's on the staff or on the board of directors of the Chamber please stand? Let's show our appreciation here. Roy and David, and all of those standing, thank you very much. We also have members of the City Council here today, and I know many of them are here, so what I would ask you to do, if you would please stand as I call your name. These are 8 individuals who have given generously of their time and expertise, and as I call your name, if you would stand and we can draw some positive attention, and then we'll give a round of applause at the end. The first is James Greiner in Ward 1, Ed Shadid, Ward 2, Larry McAtee, Ward 3, Pete White, Ward 4, David Greenwell, Ward 5, Meg Salyer, Ward 6, John Pettis, Ward 7, and Pat Ryan, Ward 8. And as the council remains standing, I want to go a little bit further and acknowledge Pat Ryan. 8 years ago, Councilman Ryan retired from OG&E, lost his mind, and ran for city council. And since then, he has served with distinction for the last 8 years. He has decided not to run for re-election this spring, so we at City Hall are losing a true gentleman, one of the smartest and hardest working council representatives that we've ever had. So let's show Pat our appreciation in a round of approval. As the council remains standing, would any other city employees that are here today, I know Jim Couch, the city manager, is here, and several of our staff, would all of the city employees stand? And now, anyone who serves on a city commission or an advisory board or an oversight board or one of our trusts, please stand at this time. Now, if you serve in a leadership position in your neighborhood association, would you please stand? Now let's give our council, our city staff, and our community volunteers a round of applause. This is what makes Oklahoma City what it is today. I also want to thank my family for putting up with me for another year and another re-election. My boys and their wives are here. Hawaiian Dawn is here with Deb. My mother is not here this year. She has made the last 10 State of the City addresses, but at age 93, she's staying home, perhaps resting to come back next year. But I also want to introduce one of our city's newest residences, my wife, Terry. Will you help me thank them? My boo. I know many of you in the audience are new to our city. Some of you are longtime residents. You have seen the improvements. You share my pride and enthusiasm. To each and every one of you who came today, welcome to the State of the City Address for 2015. Well, to start with, we are getting bigger. People are continuing to notice what a great city you have created, and they want to be a part of it. Let me give you some historical perspective. In 2000, we eclipsed 500,000 people living in the city limits for the very first time. Wasn't that long ago. Now we are well past 600,000. Let's take a look back historically again. In the 1910 census, we were the 87th most populated city in the United States. We had 64,000 people then. By 1980, we were the 31st largest city. And then interestingly, 30 years later, in the 2010 census, we were still the 31st largest city in the nation. But since then, in the last 5 years, we have passed Louisville, Milwaukee, Portland, and Las Vegas. We are now the 27th largest city in the country. We passed 4 cities in roughly a 3-year span. Yes, I think that deserves a round of applause. Our metro region is now between 1.3 and 1.4 million people. There are between 1,000 and 2,000 people arriving every month in our metro. CNN reported we were one of the fastest growing cities in the country, documenting a 5% growth rate since 2010. So if it seems like it's getting more crowded, it is. We have more people moving to our city. We have more kids in our schools. We have more seniors retiring. We have more cars on the road. There's just more. Some of these changes are very positive. After a decade of concentrating resources and our attention on repopulating the inner city and especially attracting growth in our inner city school district, growth is occurring. Again, some historical perspective. In the 1970s, our inner city school district enrollment topped out at around 75,000 kids. 3 decades later, it bottomed out at 37,000 kids. Today, we're back up again at 46,000. Now, what this means is the district can operate more efficiently. It means more money is available for teachers, and it means more money is available for new schools. And from a city planning perspective, rebuilding the population of the inner city is a success story. Maps and Maps for Kids have been incredible catalysts for the city's renaissance. And I think it's safe to say that perhaps no city in the country has come as far, as fast as Oklahoma City. The quality of our education, however, is all over the place. We have 24 public school districts serving kids that live inside of Oklahoma City's city limits. And what you're going to find there is some of the highest performing and some of the lowest performing schools in the state. The equity of our education is of great concern and attention. Now, we're not alone in this. Almost every major city in the country faces the same issues, and they're all trying to increase the number of kids that are involved in pre-kindergarten education. City after city lining up, asking the federal government for more funding for all-day pre-K. Well, I think it's interesting to note, we didn't wait. Thanks to some state and federal funding, but most significantly, for a lot of philanthropic money from the Inasmuch Foundation, the Oklahoma City School District is the largest district in the United States with fully funded all-day pre-K. That is a great investment in our city. Throughout the 24 school districts, several new schools opened this year, including John Rex Elementary School in downtown Oklahoma City. This is the final new school to be funded with Maps for Kids money. And we all remember the critics who wondered, how are you going to fill a downtown grade school? Well, everyone should know it opened with a waiting list. Quality schools are mandatory if we're going to have the quality of life in Oklahoma City that we deserve and our kids deserve. Now let's shift gears and turn our attention to crime, where for 2 consecutive years now, we have made incredible progress. Last year, I reported to you that crime had decreased significantly from the previous year. And today, I have even better news to report. Crime has dropped dramatically once again. Our police department tracks and publishes crime statistics on the internet website in 8 major categories. Crime has dropped in all 8 categories. Now, we all know that crime statistics can be misleading. It can be frustrating making sense of the numbers. And I was talking just a couple of years ago, I guess, about my frustrations with trying to figure out what to make of all the crime statistics, because some crimes go unreported. Some definitions of crime vary from one city to another, and it can make it difficult to compare. And I asked another large city mayor to help me with the process of trying to finish this out, and he said there are 2 categories that you should look at. He said, check out your rate in murder and auto theft, because those are two categories that are generally easy to define and almost always reported. So I looked at the most recent statistics this past year against the previous year, and here they are. Murder rate is down 38%, auto theft is down 14%. Overall, across all 8 categories, crime is down 14%. And keep in mind, these are raw numbers. You would think that as a city increases in population, the crime numbers would increase on a proportional basis. Our population is going up, and the amount of crime in our city is going down. So I think it's appropriate, yeah, go ahead and applaud, because this is not easy to do as dramatically as this city has performed. Let's spread the credit. First of all, I want to thank and commend our police chief, Bill City, and the men and the women of the Oakland Police Department. And Chief City is here because that's where it starts. And I want to commend our city manager and the city council. We have added 40 additional police officer positions in each of the last 3 years, and it is making a difference. As longtime residents know, this city has a tradition of supporting public safety. Time and time again, the citizens of Oklahoma City have supported new officers, new and better equipment, the training that is necessary. And right now, we're looking into supplying our officers with body cameras. And as we move into this year's budgeting cycle, this needs to be a priority. And I know the police chief was on television yesterday talking about a pilot program that we hope to implement. So more to come on this, but again, it shows, I think, an expression of this city's commitment to public safety and responsible policing. We also, though, I think, have to acknowledge our neighborhood associations in our bout against crime. Georgie Rasco and Neighborhood Alliance is helping us spread the message that the absolute best way to combat crime in your neighborhood is for the neighbors to look after each other, to keep an open eye on the houses in the neighborhood. And if there's a problem, do something about it. Call the police if you suspect a crime is taking place. I also believe that we're doing a better job in addressing domestic violence. As a community, this has been a particular focus. Jan Peary and the YWCA have been leading the charge. Our philanthropic community has responded with additional resources. We are doing better. We're not going to be able to keep our crime numbers down if we don't continue our focus on domestic violence. And so I am asking you, and I will beg you if necessary, we all have friends and neighbors that we care about. And if you are suspecting domestic violence in a situation familiar to you, you're probably right. You need to get involved. We have professionals that can help. And our particular approach to combating domestic violence is starting to attract national attention. Other cities are noticing and starting to adopt our policies, but we must continue our focus on domestic violence. I also want to acknowledge our fire chief, Keith Bryant. Keith is not only leading our fire department, but he has earned the respect of other firefighters across the country and is currently serving as the president of the International Association of Fire Chiefs. He's been with our department 32 years. He's been our chief since 2005, and Chief Bryant, we're very proud of you. Thank you. Now let's change gears and talk about new development. We are seeing strong demand for new housing, both in the suburban part of the city and also in the urban core. We're seeing tremendous interest in adding to our downtown skyline. Barring unforeseen events, it seems likely that 4, 5, maybe even 6 new high-rise buildings will be constructed on the west part of downtown in the next few years. These buildings are likely to have a variety of uses and different ideas about office space, residential and retail uses, all being a part of their plan. But there is a tremendous amount of construction that's already taking place in the city. Let's take a look at some of the projects. The GE Global Research Facility construction is underway. And let me add, because it's no coincidence that they're investing with this construction project, GE is going to be holding its annual shareholders meeting in Oklahoma City this spring. Obviously, GE believes in Oklahoma City's future, and they are anxious to bring some of the largest investors in General Electric to our city. And that should be an exciting news and validation of a lot of things that we've done. Also under construction, the Oklahoman is moving its corporate offices and editorial staff to downtown. It's going to be an eye-catching design that's going to add some energy to the intersection of Sheridan and Robinson. Up north, Topgolf and Cabela's are entering the market, construction taking place in the Chisholm Creek addition. Embassy Suites is soon going to be opening up, a large hotel in the Innovation District. The old library, the Carnegie Building, getting a facelift, a much-needed makeover that's going to add to our ever-growing housing needs downtown. And there's probably much construction going on in Bricktown as there's been at any time in the last 10 years. And these are some pictures of some of the construction that's going on, mostly around entertainment and housing, and of course, office supply. And OCU has moved its law school downtown. Over 100 years ago, an architect named Solomon Layton, that must be the OCU table over there, applauding for themselves. Solomon Layton, the famous architect, designed our state capitol building, designed the Skirvin Hotel, and also designed this building that was originally known as Oklahoma High School. Then it was Central High School, but it has not been used as a school in over 50 years. But OCU opened classes in its law school in this newly renovated building, and I think the school deserves a round of applause for making this type of an investment in the center part of the city. This, it's about everything a mayor could hope for. Young, highly educated people moving into the core of the city and investing in a older but very significant building. Our new police station is under construction. Just west of the Civic Center, it'll be opening up here in 2015. In northeast Oklahoma City, the new clubhouse at Lincoln Park is in the final stages of construction. It'll be opening up this spring. And there's MAPS 3 projects sprouting up all over town. The Whitewater course, which is now known as the River Sport Rapids, should be completed a year from now. Another MAPS 3 project out at the fairgrounds. Construction continues on the new Expo Center that will replace some outdated buildings, and we continue to build out the fairgrounds master plan. And of course, I'm sure you've seen a lot of this construction. That's Tom McDaniel on the right with a ribbon cutting we had on the sidewalks that are taking place all over the city. And this is part of the MAPS 3 projects that I think it really gets heads to nod and a smile to go across people's faces as they see us opening up neighborhoods with a lot of public buildings and a lot of retail opportunities. And of course, the jogging and biking trail system construction continues as well. Coming up in 2015, you're going to see groundbreakings for the first MAPS 3 senior wellness centers, as well as the park. Meanwhile, on the bigger projects, the planning continues for the streetcar and the convention center. Well, obviously, I've not gotten to all of the new projects, but if you look around, you see investments in the Plaza District, the Paseo, Film Row, Automobile Alley, and Capitol Hill, and new housing is being developed all over the metro. St. Anthony's Hospital is expanding. The old Ford Motor plant on West Main Street is being converted into the 21C Hotel. UCO is building a boathouse down on the river. And let me close this section on what's new by drawing your attention to the recent enhancements at the Bombing Memorials Museum. Over $10 million was raised to update the technology and to better tell the story of what took place in our city on April 19th, 1995. And in just 3 months, a milestone in our city's timeline will occur, because it will have been 20 years since the largest act of domestic terrorism in United States history. 20 years. And I urge you this year to take your family to the memorial. And even if you've been through the museum before, this is a good time to go back. You owe it to yourself, you owe it to your family. Perhaps most of all, we owe it to the lives of those who gave the ultimate sacrifice back in April of '95. And we do this not because we can't forget what occurred here, but we do this because we choose to remember April 19th, 1995. And keep in mind, more than half the people that lived in this city today did not live here in 1995. We have people new to the city that have moved in, but we also have a generation of young people that obviously have no memory of 1995. A generation that still believes the ballpark has always been downtown and that the river has always had water and that we've always had an NBA team, because that's the city in which they have grown up. That's the city that you've created for them. They need to learn what we know as the Oklahoma Standard. Sam Presti, the general manager of the Thunder and a member of the board of directors at the Memorial Museum, has come up with an idea that I think we should all embrace. He believes that everyone living in the Oklahoma City metro in 2015 should participate in the 20th anniversary of the event. So during the month of April, with the bombing anniversary on our minds, he and the rest of the board are asking people in the metro to do one act of kindness, perform one act of service, and one act of honor. Imagine how powerful that can be when we do it as a community. And thank you all in advance for participating. Now let's take a look at some of the accolades our city has received in the last year. We'll start with Kiplinger. Kiplinger looked across the United States and rated the best place to start a business. The #1 place in America is Oklahoma City, and you should give yourself a round of applause for that. And Kiplinger is not alone. A website named NerdWallet looked across the nation at access to funding and the cost of living and named us #1 in the nation for starting a business. I don't know who they are, but I really like them. And I agree. In education, 5 of our metro schools made Newsweek's list of America's top high schools. Congratulations in Oklahoma City to Classen School of Advanced Studies, to Bethany High School, Edmond Memorial, Norman, and Norman North. 5 of the top schools in the country. And after a young person graduates from college, it's pretty clear that Oklahoma City is a great place to start a career. According to Forbes, we ranked #2 as the best destination for college graduates. And Forbes magazine says it's not just the millennials who are moving here. They noted that workers aged 35 to 49 are also relocating to Oklahoma City in strong numbers. And just to prove it doesn't really matter how old you are, Forbes also did a list of the best places to retire, and they put us on that list. I got a feeling the entire publishing staff of Forbes is all about ready to move to Oklahoma City. So what are the numbers behind all this positive attention? Well, the Bureau of Economic Analysis looked at the data and compared us with other large cities. There are only 3 large cities in the United States that have had GDP growth of 3.5% or more in 3 consecutive years. We're one of them, one of only 3. We hear a lot about American jobs going overseas, and it appears that the energy revolution has helped us reverse that trend. Now, a lot of the manufacturing jobs that were outsourced by American companies 10 years ago are returning to the United States. And nowhere is that more evident than right here in Oklahoma. As a state, we are ranked #1 in the country for durable goods manufacturing growth. As for the quality of life, New Geography ranked the nation's cities on traffic congestion. Oklahoma City is the 7th least congested city in the country. Fast Company magazine surveyed workers across the nation and said employees in Oklahoma City were some of the most satisfied in the country. Forbes magazine looked at the cost of living in Oklahoma City, especially our housing prices, and said we're one of the nation's most affordable cities. But to me, the list that I guess I got the most enjoyment out of was the one David referred to earlier before lunch. Just a couple of months ago, National Geographic made a list of the top 20 places in the world to visit in 2015. And they had places like Corsica, Tunis, Jamaica, France, Taiwan, Switzerland, Argentina. There were only 4 places in the United States that made this list: the National Mall in Washington, D.C., San Francisco, Sea Islands, South Carolina, and the 4th was Oklahoma City. That is mind-boggling. So here we are in 2015 in a very enviable position. Clearly, few, if any, cities have come as far, as fast as we. We are a world-class city in the arts. We are a world-class city in the sports, and so many other elements that reflect on the quality of life. But a final note, as the editors of the National Geographic and other media outlets are starting to send people here, I hope our visitors will once again draw attention to our world-class zoo. And as you have probably heard, we have a new baby elephant. Yeah, she is so cute. Now, how many of you remember 3 years ago in the State of the City address when I showed you the actual video of the elephant's birth? Raise your hand if you remember that. How many of you are still scarred by that experience? How many of you have sought counseling? Well, close your eyes if you need to. This year we have another video of our baby elephant's arrival.
Oh, my. Now, let me see. Must be right around here somewhere.
And there she is, baby Akara, being delivered to the Oklahoma City Zoo. And we have pictures of what she looks like now. Let's take a look. Akara, she weighed 332 pounds when the stork arrived, and she's gained a little weight since then, but she alone is worth the trip to the Oklahoma City Zoo. Let's have a good year. It is going to be very difficult for 2015 to match 2014, but I have a feeling you're not going to let me down. Thank you all very much, and God bless.
Uplifting and well delivered as always, Mayor. Thank you. Thank you again to the Thunder for being our sponsor. Thank you for being here. We're adjourned. Have a good day.